And speaking strictly for myself, as someone whose formative fantasy reading was in the waning years of the last millennium, I'm secretly a little bit stoked to get to read a book from 2003's version of the genre again, since it's newly being translated.
That book sounds like it has everything in it.
A lot going on, yeah.
And welcome to OPL's mini episode series, The New Title Drop, where we shared new titles coming out this month. This is the episode for June of 2026. I'm Angela, and I am here with Melanie and Mark, and we are collection development librarians.
So excited to talk about some June releases this month. But first of all, I want to know, is there a book out there that hasn't been written that you wish that has, like a historical event or a person in history that you've always just been dying to know more about?
Well, I've got one. One of my favorite characters, and I'm a little surprised that there isn't, as far as I can tell, like one good book on the subject, is a Sumerian copper merchant named Ea Nasir. And the only reason we know anything about Ea Nasir is that he sold terrible quality copper. There are dozens of inscriptions on cuneiform tablets saying, like, I'm filing a grievance. I can't believe Ea Nasir sold me this terrible copper.
Oh, man.
And
Zero stars.
Exactly. So like 5,000 years of angry Yelp.
My gosh.
I gotta have a book about it.
That's amazing.
Yes, I can see that. But not only that, I can see a book that you write of historical Yelp reviews.
There are those great books compiled just entirely of like disappointed comments on like National Park Service.
Yes, the National Parks one was the one that came to mind, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I thought of this question, but I didn't think of an answer because I think this all the time. Like, I want to know everybody's memoir, and it's really frustrating to me that every single person I've ever heard of doesn't have like a book about their lives that they wrote, because I feel like you learn so much from people's personal perspective on themselves, even if they're delusional, or even if it's like it's skewed or it's too humble or it's, or it's just kind of not as revealing, whatever it is. Like, I constantly just want to know how people would describe their own lives. So I don't have an answer, but I mean, there's so many, right? Yeah. Like, there's just so many people that are so fascinating to me. There's this one writer. Okay, I thought of one. There's one writer, Christina Rossi, and she is still alive, I hope. She is from Uruguay and left during the dictatorship and moved to Spain. And she became really good friends with Julio Cortázar, who is another one of my favorite writers. And her writing is just, well, she writes a lot of poetry, but also she wrote like this book called The Little School that's like a novel poem about dictatorship, and it's so brutal. And I want to know her life. Like, how did she leave? How did she escape? Like, what are her feelings? Does she still talk to her parents? She's also a lesbian and is very open about it. And it just like, because a lot of her writing like took place with things that were happening like in the 70s and stuff. Like, I just kind of want to know, like, what's your story? How did you live? How did this feel? Like, are you angry? Are you happy? What is your philosophy? Do you blame anyone? Like, I want to, that's one I really want. And she can still write it. So please.
Nice.
Yeah. Listen to this podcast.
Yes.
Christina Rossi, and write this book.
There we go.
Yeah.
Similar to you, there's a lot of things where I like hear something about it. I'm like, wait, I want to read a book about that. Like, why isn't there a book? Something that recently came up was, this will be of no surprise to you guys. This takes a women's sports slant. But I was watching the PWHL championships and looking up some of the people that are like in leadership positions in the PWHL, because I was like, oh, I'm not familiar with that name. Like, where did she play hockey or how did she start? And one of them started playing the sport ringette. Have either of you heard about this?
No.
Okay, so
I haven't heard about Ring. Is it like the horror movie, but tiny?
No, not at all. No. So it's a form of hockey, essentially. It was created in Canada in the 1960s. It was originally created just for women, but now it includes players of all gender identities. It's played on an ice rink. It uses ice hockey skates. It uses straight sticks, so it doesn't have like that long thing at the bottom. And then it's like this little blue rubber ring instead of a puck. And there's like, it's less physical.
Do you impale the puck? Like,
no, I think you just kind of like push it. Like
you push it with the stick that has no like handle?
Yeah, it's like a yardstick almost. It's just like, but it is less physical, so there's like no intentional body checking. It's super popular in Canada and Finland. Apparently in Canada, there are more than 30,000 registered players. There's like national leagues for it and stuff like that. So I want to know more about the history of ringette and like why it's not in America yet. Actually, there are American teams, and I think an American, like a United States league too, but like never heard of it. So.
Because it's not in the Olympics. Yeah. Like, let's start a campaign
to bring it here,
to put it in the Olympics. Because I don't know about sports that are not in the Olympics. Yeah. That's where I draw the line.
Fair.
Okay. So I'm going to start talking about books because that's what we're here for, right? So the first book I want to talk about is In Hunger and Thirst by Claire Fuller. In this book, we meet 16-year-old Ursula at her new job delivering mail. She has found a place to stay at a halfway house and a new friend named Sue. Despite her traumatic past and difficult path to get here, she seems to be on her way to a normal life. When Sue proposes that they move into a local squat that has some tragic history, she goes along with it. And as Sue demands more and more in their friendship that seems to be following an eerie pattern of possible abuse, Ursula continues to follow along. But after accepting a dare, she finds there is nowhere for her to turn to escape what she has done. Years later, under a new name, living as a sculptor in London, Ursula's identity is exposed when a true crime documentarian dredges up her past. She will have to finally face the consequences of what she did, but as she gets closer to the truth, she will start to realize that she isn't really sure if she knows what really happened. Did she make it all up? Are there real monsters in control, or are the monsters within her? Hayden Casey calls this book harrowing and tender in turn. Hunger and Thirst is an expertly sculpted character study of a girl living in the long shadow of trauma. It gripped me immediately and didn't let go. Ursula's desperate hungers live in all of us, and Claire Fuller illuminates them in exquisite, exacting prose. This is the kind of book to clear a weekend for, the kind of resident nightmare that lingers long after its end. And Kathleen McMahon adds that it is love story, psychological thriller, highly literary horror. Claire Fuller pulls off all three with this brilliant novel that is familiar and frightening in equal measure. Most of all, it's great fun. I absolutely loved it. It is out on June 2nd.
I'll take the second spot with The Heart of the Nhaga by Lee Young-do and releasing June 2nd, 2026. Lee Young-do has been a prolific and pioneering author of Korean language fantasy since the 1990s. One of his epic series, The Bird That Drinks Tears, is being released in English for the first time with The Heart of the Nhaga. It's a world sharply divided between four races, and representatives from each society, a human, an immortal lizard person, a fire wielder, and a super strong birdman, are drawn together into a mysterious quest. As Matthew Galloway writes for Library Journal, the world building is extremely rich, featuring dragons sprouting from seeds, flying manta rays carrying ruined cities on their backs, and people filled with the souls of the dead. This accessible epic fantasy uses familiar genre foundations with exciting South Korean twists to create an unput-downable read. As Booklist puts it, this series will be catnip to readers that love epic journeys, high-stakes adventures, intricate societies, an amazing plot, and a world on the cusp of change. And speaking strictly for myself, as someone whose formative fantasy reading was in the waning years of the last millennium, I'm secretly a little bit stoked to get to read a book from 2003's version of the genre again, since it's newly being translated.
That book sounds like it has everything in it.
A lot going on, yeah. All right. My first book has quite a bit going on too, I think. It's The Children by Melissa Albert. It comes out June 2nd. This is a debut adult novel by the young adult novelist Albert, who wrote the New York Times bestselling Hazelwood series. Library Journal says this one is speculative fiction crossover that spans fantasy, gothic, supernatural horror, and mystery. This story follows Guinevere and Ennis, siblings who were the inspiration behind their mother Edith's kids' fantasy book series, Ninth City. The lives of the beloved children from the books were quite different than the neglect and abandonment the siblings faced in real life in a secluded Vermont farmhouse. And before Edith's series was completed, she died in a fire when Guinevere was 11. Now adults, Guinevere and Ennis, who have not seen each other since, are both on track to promote works based on their childhood. Guinevere has an idyllic, ghost-written memoir of their childhood, hoping to protect her mother's legacy. But Ennis is about to unveil an art installation he's calling Mother, and Guinevere is terrified about what secrets it could reveal. Kirkus Review says, once it's revealed, the truth of the farmhouse, their mother, and Ennis's reason for leaving is darker and stranger than Guinevere could have imagined. Albert's prose is undeniably beautiful as she contemplates memory, family lore, and the ways that art can both save and destroy people. A chilling and twisted fairy tale. And hopeful friend of the pod, Stephen King, calls it an extraordinary book. It's a page-turner, full of mystery, but that's the least of it. The language is dusted with magic.
Ooh. I want language dusted in magic.
Right?
Okay, so you all, I'm bringing our first nonfiction of this episode, and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to talk about 2 books in a row because one of the books didn't have any blurbs or reviews, so it's really tiny. So I'm going to talk about it.
Such a shame.
I know, but I'm still excited to talk about it, so I added it on. Okay, so my second book is A Resistance History of the United States by Tad Schomer, out on June 2nd. Kind of like our conversation about additional histories we wish we knew. I'm always interested in more history that wasn't covered in my high school or actually even my college classes. This book absolutely fits that bill. Centering resistance movements such as the Salem witch trials and the Underground Railroad. The Salem witch trials as a resistance movement, I just love that in general. This history exposes additional information and context for the stories we thought we already knew, and the depth of both their significance and the effects on our current perspectives. Through these and many more examples, Stoermer dismantles the mythologies that pass for American history, exposing the curated nostalgia, moral evasions, and institutional silences that have long protected abusive power. What emerges is an essential look at how we can take lessons from the past to understand and effectively respond to the injustices we face today. Ava DuVernay calls it bracing, unsentimental, and deeply necessary for this moment in American life. Stoermer's Resistance History of the United States refuses the soft landing, the idea that progress is inevitable and that justice slowly bends on its own. Instead, he offers a clear-eyed account of how freedom is constructed, defended, and repeatedly taken back. This history, written for people who understand that democracy is not inherited, it is fought for over and over again. And Kirkus Reviews adds that it is an inspiration for those fighting for democratic rights in the face of authoritarianism. Okay, so the book that I didn't have any reviews for, even on Goodreads, there was like no reviews on Goodreads, which I don't understand. But anyway, it is a memoir about Laverne Cox. Like, doesn't everyone want to read this?
Yes.
Maybe that's why it doesn't need reviews. I don't know. So in Transcendent, the Emmy-nominated actress talks about growing up with childhood trauma with feelings of unworthiness and shame. The incredible actress, known for her role as Sophia in Orange is the New Black and as an activist in the fight for transgender rights, had a long path of healing to get where she is now. In this book, she details the pain she grew up with and her journey to success with a behind-the-scenes look at her struggles in Hollywood and the feelings of being both famous and lonely in a world that targets her on a continuous basis. This book comes out on June 9th.
Excellent. Up next, I've got Red Sheet by James Ellroy, which will be dropping on June 9th. My James Ellroy will always be LA Confidential. But I do love that his neo-noir explorations of Los Angeles have continued into the chaotic years of the 1960s and into some truly dizzying heights of strangeness. In Red Sheet, an anti-communist crackdown leads returning Ellroy protagonist, Freddie Otash, into a stew of union corruption, drug trafficking, and political violence. Robert Kennedy, Richard Nixon, Hugh Hefner, and scores of other figures from LA history make unflattering but memorable appearances. I'll borrow some words from Booklist. As always, Ellroy's jargon is jazzy, his characters caricatures on steroids. In the latest Otash adventure, readers will find themselves seduced by Ellroy's hipster take on history's seamy underside and the amped-up atmosphere in which the plausible and improbable ooze together in a head-spinning daze. That will be Red Sheet, releasing June 9th.
Wow, Booklist, way to go.
Right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
They came for their review money today.
Yes.
All right. My next one is Cat Love by Tomas Q. Morin. It comes out June 9th. And there are very few kinds of books that I refuse to read. I like to think I'm a pretty open-minded to trying new things, but I'll admit for a very long time I refused to read adult books narrated by animals. And I'm not even totally sure my reasoning behind it. It was just something aside from Animal Farm that I don't think I was into at all. But then I read Henry Hoke's Open Throat, told from the perspective of a mountain lion in Los Angeles, and my eyes were opened to the beauty of that storytelling. So all that to say, I am now definitely interested in reading Cat Love, the debut novel of poet and memoirist Morin. The publisher describes it as a contemporary dystopian elegy narrated by a cat imprisoned in a Schrodinger box. The cat has been kidnapped, catnapped, and trapped.
Does the cat not know if it's there or not?
Well, I mean, I haven't read it, so I don't. So it's trapped inside this mirrored box. It's used as an observational experiment of students that are in an emotional statistics course. They are meant to observe the box and consider how they feel about it. They begin to argue whether there is even a cat in there at all. And among their considerations and daily quizzes, the cat is recalling her life. The owner/person that she refers to as the mustache, her birth, her kittens, her love of music, literature, and art. A publisher's weekly review says, ultimately, the surprising narrative builds to a thoughtful meditation on the nature of freedom and trust. This quirky tale will stay with readers. And author Laura Vandenberg says, the cat at the center of this daring novel might be trapped in a Schrodinger's box, but the consciousness is thrillingly unbounded, spiky, unafraid to wrestle with the epic questions. Cat Love bounds between comedy and tragedy as our tenacious and hilarious heroine struggles to comprehend a bewildering new reality and grieves a stolen life. Tomas Q. Morin has written a wondrous, original, and singularly moving novel.
Okay, so how do you feel about books written from the perspective of insects?
I mean, I'd give it a try now, I think.
Because I just started The Bees by Laline Paull, and it's very weird.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about it yet, but it's from the perspective of the bees.
Is it like the whole hive? The perspective.
Well,
of the
you get one bee is like coming into consciousness. I think it's born. I'm pretty sure it's born, and it is like a cleaner bee. And there's a huge hierarchy, and there's a very religious undertone. Like they all have a kind of reverence, obviously, for the queen, but like they have like their traditions that they do. And then so it's so original and interesting, but I don't know how I feel yet. Like, I don't
All right. Well, keep me posted.
it is very like communal and hierarchical at the same time. And I'm like, how does it even work? But yeah, it's very original.
Nice.
If there has been kind of a vacant look on my face for the last couple minutes, it's because the phrase open throat to pony confidential pipeline is just looping through my head. It's a completely unexpected arrival point to animal narrators.
Yeah, Pony Confidential was another one I read that I was like, okay, I get it. I can do this.
Don't forget Say Hello to My Little Friend.
I haven't read that one yet.
Oh my goodness. Has also a narrator whale that is unbelievable. Anyway, okay. I have a book that's coming out in June. Lastly, that is not about a narrator that is an animal or insect. It is actually another horror book. But it is an interesting like horror perspective. I don't think it's pure horror. I think it's like kind of has magical realism. Kaleidoscopic came up a lot in the descriptions. So I should tell you what it is. So for your summer reading, it's The Summer of the Serpent by Cecilia Eudave, and it comes out on June 30th. The publisher says this surreal, horror-tinged Guadalajara set work of Latin American literature of the unusual is a kaleidoscopic descent into the small violences and hidden horrors of one sweltering summer, forming a coil of vignettes that slither under the skin for a strange, deeply human portrait of memory, myth, and family. Wow. In 1977, Guadalajara, Mexico, children see things that cannot be explained by what most would call reality. A ghost visits to tell its story every night as a serpent girl weeps in a glass box. Told from multiple perspectives of children and adults, ghosts and the living, each tells a story that begins to weave itself between truths and hauntings, a metaphorical picture of the gradual loss of innocence. This novel will be a treat to those who are introduced to this talented writer. Panopista calls it a labyrinthine spectral novel that embodies a contemporary poetics of the unusual. Eudave sketches a larger, astonishing reality, one that coils sinuously around the human world. And Booklist adds, Eudave's brief novel is intense, tightly layered, and unsettling as it slithers through the familiar Latin American literary tropes, shedding its skin like a serpent to give them fresh life. Here, traditional logic is unreliable, death is an obsession, and the line between reality and the fantastic is porous.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep the 1960s California from my last title and borrow your horror
Nice.
and round out the day with Muneca by Cynthia Gomez.
Yes.
Muneca will release June 2nd. To borrow from the publisher's description, it's 1968, Oakland. Natalia Fuentes has been hearing rumors about the beautiful Violeta Miramontes, young heiress to Spanish colonial wealth, who's been left paralyzed by a mysterious illness. But Nati knows a thing or two about witchcraft, and she's certain this is the work of dark magic. Armed with a plan to break the spell and earn a handsome reward, Nati works her way into the house as Violeta's caretaker, immediately discovering her suspicions are true. But who's responsible for the curse? And why? As feelings between the two women bloom into romance, Nati grows more and more reckless, forced to face her own ghosts, one she hoped would stay gone forever. Fellow authors have been generous with their advance praise for this debut novel. Carolina Flores Cerchiaro says, under the pull of old charms, Muneca is a haunting, seductive gothic of curses, desire, and the slow decay of colonial wealth. Cynthia Gomez entwines a working-class bruja with dangerous love and inherited power, weaving a story that consumed me, and a doll that held me fast in her spell. But it's hard to imagine a review that could beat Sam J. Miller's. What horrifying magnificence! Muneca feels like an iconic classic you somehow missed. Like We Have Always Lived in the Castle, if it was porny and intersectional. Or Rebecca, if Rebecca had an actual protagonist. I loved it. And that is Muneca, releasing June 2nd.
Nice. All right, my last one is The Jellyfish Problem by Tessa Yang. This comes out June 2nd. It's another debut novel, another book about animals, but this one, as far as I know, is narrated by a human. Marine biologist Dr. Joy Ness is grieving the loss of her best friend Aldo, who died 7 months ago. She fills her time at an underfunded aquarium with the jellyfish guide the two of them were working on. After receiving a call from her friend Nadia, she heads to a tiny island off the coast of Maine. A giant glowing jellyfish is terrorizing the island, and Joe may be able to help. But when she arrives, Nadia is missing, and the publisher says the islanders she meets each have something different to say about the creature they've dubbed Clementine, a jellyfish who changes all who see it. A Library Journal review says this is perfect for fans of Shelby Van Pelt's Remarkably Bright Creatures or Emily Habeck's Shark Heart, who are looking for the same immersiveness, heartbreak, and comfort that those novels evoked. Author Carly Fortune says Tessa Yang's The Jellyfish Problem is an utterly original debut. It's a gripping sea monster mystery, yet beneath the surface lies not only a terrifying jellyfish, but a meditation on grief, community, and friendship. And author Yume Kitase says Tessa Yang's prose is like a friend in your ear, laugh out loud funny 1 minute and deeply vulnerable the next. Her debut novel, The Jellyfish Problem, deftly combines elements of sea creature horror, romance, and island mystery into a moving story about lost friendship and a love of the ocean. You will drink this right down and want another. Never heard that one in a blurb before.
Oh,
Especially about a jellyfish?
Right.
Well, thank you all. I've got more reading to do in June than I thought I would. Mm-hmm. All the titles we mentioned can be found in a list in our episode description. Stop by on the first Tuesday of every month to hear about new books coming out, dropping that month. That'll be our episode. Thanks for joining us for New Title Drop for June 2026.